Artificial intelligence has been able to decipher an ancient Roman scroll which was charred by ash from Pompeii when Mount Vesuvius erupted. Despite trying for 20 years, scientists have been unable to decipher what's in the scroll. Each time they tried, it just crumbled to nothing. It didn't surprise me to find out the contents, which had been deciphered, has some connections to the end times in the Bible. I wanted to look at some of those. When AI was able to virtually unroll the scroll, this is what it looked like. The researcher in charge of trying to decipher the scrolls has the last name Seals.
Who is worthy to break the seals and open the scroll?
The word for purple is the word which unlocked the scroll. The word is porphyrus. Mystery Babylon was arrayed in purple and scarlet. Using this one word, artificial intelligence was able to decipher more of the scroll. That word is connected to the word porphyrios, which is a whale. That's because the whale would have had a purplish color. It was a real whale which taunted Byzantine sailors over a period of 50 years. It was likened to the biblical Leviathan. It's unknown how many ships were sunk because of this whale. It ended up beaching itself on the mouth of the Black Sea and was attacked by a group of locals and killed. It said this beast, known as Porphyrios, would show no mercy and indiscriminately sank fishing vessels, merchant, and warships. The deciphered portion of the text discussed pleasurable sights and taste, specifically the taste of capers. It included a figure whose name was Xenophantus. He was a flute player who was mentioned by ancient authors. It said his flute playing apparently caused Alexander the Great to reach for his weapons. What I was able to find out about this individual is he was a cleric or a religious official, as well as a reference to a dedication by him made at the Temple of Apollo. These are the ruins of the Temple of Apollo today. Capers are actually a flower which is pickled in a brine. According to the website Flowers in Israel, the name capers is from the Latin word caparus, and it's referenced in the book of Ecclesiastes 12, verse 5. This is because it is a symbol of man's short life. This could easily be missed depending upon the translation, but the Berean Standard Bible describes it best. When men fear the heights and dangers of the road, when the almond tree blossoms, the grasshopper loses its spring, and the caper berry shrivels, for then man goes to his eternal home, and mourners walk the streets. As a separate article described the contents of the scroll, it was discussing pleasures including music, the color purple, and the taste of capers. It sounds a lot like our world today, enjoying music, pleasure, and food. The researcher, whose last name is Seals, used his team to also read the Dead Sea Scrolls. The flute playing figure was also mentioned, and a flute is mentioned in Daniel 3:5. At the moment you hear the sound of the horn, flute, lyre, trigon, psaltery, bagpipe, and all kinds of music, you are to fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up. Another verse which mentions the flute is Isaiah 5:12. Their banquets are accompanied by lyre and harp, by tambourine and flute, and by wine, but they do not pay attention to the deeds of the Lord, nor do they consider the work of his hands. Some of the pleasures they would have been referencing would be what they're looking at, what they're seeing around them in their world prior to the volcanic ash covering them all. This is some of the artwork that they would have seen. A lot of these are busts of unknown people. Some of them are Greek gods: Ptolemy, Artemis, Dionysius, a drunken satyr, Hermes, athletes, a pig. There's also a statue of a faun, and quite honestly, a very disgusting statue of Pan with a goat. Because it was covered in ash, it's very well preserved. It's clear the people were eating and drinking and going on about their lives much like we are now.
Remember your Creator in the days of your youth, before the days of adversity come and the years approach, of which you will say, I find no pleasure in them. Before the light of the sun, moon, and stars is darkened, and the clouds return after the rain, on the day the keepers of the house tremble and the strong men stoop, when those grinding cease because they are few, and those watching through windows see dimly, when the doors to the street are shut and the sound of the mill fades away, when one rises at the sound of a bird and all the daughters of song grow faint, when men fear the heights and dangers of the road, when the almond tree blossoms, the grasshopper loses its spring, and the caperberry shrivels. For then man goes to his eternal home and mourners walk the streets. Remember him before the silver cord is snapped and the golden bowl is crushed, before the pitcher is shattered at the spring and the wheel is broken at the well, before the dust returns to the ground from which it came, and the spirit returns to God who gave it. Futility of futilities, says the teacher. Everything is futile.
This piece of art reminded me of Revelation 8:5. Then the angel took the censer and filled it with fire from the altar and threw it on the earth. And there were peals of thunder, rumblings, flashes of lightning, and an earthquake.